Every country on Earth owes money. The United States? Over $38 trillion, the largest in its history. The European Union? Roughly $14 trillion. Japan? Nearly $9 trillion. Even oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia and export giants like Germany and China are deep in debt. But here's the strange part. If everyone owes money, who's owed? How can the entire planet be in debt at the same time? Who is the mysterious creditor holding the world's IOUs? The answer isn't another country. The truth is far more surprising. The world doesn't owe anyone else. The world owes itself. Welcome to MoneyMathDecamontry, where we decode the hidden logic of money, power, and history in the simplest way possible. Hit subscribe right now, and let's uncover how global debt became the invisible engine behind everything we know. The story of debt didn't begin with banks or billionaires, it began with war. In the year 1694, England was fighting France and running out of gold. The king was desperate, so he turned to the wealthy merchants of London. They offered to fund the war, but only if the crown promised to pay them interest, backed by future taxes. This deal led to something revolutionary, the creation of the Bank of England. For the first time in history, a government could spend money it didn't actually have yet. The idea was simple: borrow now, pay later, and keep the economy running. France copied it. The Netherlands improved it. The newly independent United States used it to fund its revolution and expansion. Soon, every great empire learned the same lesson: the power to borrow is the power to rule. Armies once conquered land for gold. Now nations conquered the world through credit. The battlefield had moved from soil to spreadsheets. Fast forward 300 years. Today, the planet owes more than $315 trillion, nearly 3 times the size of the global economy. Every country borrows, every bank lends, and every citizen, through taxes and savings, becomes part of the same loop. Take the United States, for example. Out of its $38 trillion debt, about half is publicly held, owed to investors, banks, and pension funds. Around 2/3 of those investors are American. The remaining third are foreign, with Japan at the top, holding about $1 trillion, and China around $800 billion. That's barely 2% of total U.S. debt. So when people say America owes China, it's technically true, but it's only a tiny slice of the story. The reality? Most of America's debt is owed to itself. The Treasury issues bonds. Banks and investors buy those bonds. The Federal Reserve sometimes buys them back, and when it does, it literally creates new dollars. Then American taxpayers pay interest on those bonds. That interest flows back into retirement accounts, funds, and banks, all within the same system. It's a closed circle, a financial mirror where every promise reflects another. And this loop doesn't stop at America's borders. Japan lends to the U.S. through treasuries. The U.S. lends to Europe through the IMF. Europe lends to developing nations through the World Bank, and developing nations park their foreign reserves right back in American and European bonds. It's a global chain of promises, each one depending on another. It's like a giant game of hot potato, except the potato is made of debt. And the only rule keeping the game alive is simple: nobody drops it. Behind this cycle stands a hidden layer of power: the markets. Hedge funds, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and central banks control trillions of dollars. They decide which countries get to borrow cheaply and which must pay a painful price. When they lose confidence, currencies collapse, governments fall, and entire nations can crumble overnight. Democracy decides who governs, but markets decide who survives. And at the center of it all stands the central bank. Central banks don't just manage debt, they manufacture it. Every time the Federal Reserve or European Central Bank buys government bonds, It creates new money in return. Every dollar, euro, or yen in circulation represents someone's debt somewhere else. There is no such thing as debt-free money. Every coin, every note, every digital dollar carries an invisible IOU. This entire system runs on one thing: confidence. As long as investors trust governments to keep paying interest, the machine keeps spinning. But when that trust breaks, the results are brutal. Greece learned it in 2010 when its government debt became unpayable. Argentina has faced it over and over again with repeated defaults. Sri Lanka collapsed when it ran out of foreign currency to pay loans. When confidence dies, creditors appear. The IMF, the rating agencies, and faceless bondholders who suddenly control entire economies. And yet, even after collapse, the same pattern returns. Old debts are restructured. New loans replace the old ones. The machine resets, and the cycle begins again. But here is the part nobody tells you. Modern governments never plan to pay off their debt. Not now. Not ever. They simply roll it over, refinance it endlessly. Economists call this a debt rollover. Interest becomes the real product, the rent we pay for economic stability. Japan has been rolling its debt for decades. It now owes more than 250% of its GDP, and yet its bond yields remain close to zero. Why? Because investors don't want repayment, they want renewal. Government bonds aren't liabilities. They're assets, the backbone of global markets. Banks treat them as cash. Pension funds rely on them for safety. Central banks use them as collateral for new money creation. If the US ever decided to pay off every dollar of its debt, it would destroy the foundation of global finance. The dollar supply would shrink, markets would freeze, and the economy would collapse. That's why governments do the opposite. They keep borrowing rhythmically, keeping the system alive. Debt has become the heartbeat of capitalism itself. But when we say, we owe it to ourselves, that's only half true. Because interest payments don't flow evenly through society. They rise from workers and taxpayers to the institutions and investors who own the debt. Debt isn't just a connection between countries. It's a transfer between classes. The rich own the bonds. The rest pay the interest. That's why global debt and global inequality rise together. The system rewards those who hold debt and punishes those who serve it. It's not a conspiracy. It's just how the game was designed. In the end, our world doesn't run on gold or oil, it runs on belief. As long as people trust the system, the numbers don't matter. But when that belief breaks, the illusion ends, and we remember what debt really is. A promise that can't last forever. If this video gave you a new way to see money and power, hit subscribe to MoneyMathDecamontry and join us as we decode the financial secrets shaping our world.